How I Became a Ghost, a Choctaw Trail of Tears story by Tingle. Chapter 7. Snow Monsters. Oh, everything was sad, rotten sad. I was 10 years old. This was no way to live. In many ways, when you are 10 years old, you are smarter than grown-ups. But sometimes, your parents are smart too. The very next day, my father and mother were smart. After breakfast, more squirrel, they looked at each other for a long time. I knew they had something planned. "Luke, Isaac, we are going for a walk." "Without your mother," my father said. "Isaac, carry Jumper. Hold him tight and don't let him go." We climbed out of the lean-to and walked away from the camp. We crossed the icy swamp on the far side of the island. "Careful," my father warned. "Do not fall through the ice." Jumper wiggled, trying to get free. "I want to run," Jumper said. "Let me go." "Not yet," I told him. We walked for almost an hour. "Now, you heard your father," Jumper said. "Let me down." I dropped him, and Jumper took off running. "I'm faster than you are," Jumper called over his shoulder. I had to laugh. Of course he was faster than me. I ran after him anyway. I tripped over a log covered in snow and rolled and tumbled. "Be careful," my father shouted. When I came to my feet, my face was covered in snow. Luke laughed and pointed at me. "You're a snow monster," he said. I didn't know what a snow monster was. I just knew I didn't like being called one. I grabbed a handful of snow and I rolled it a snowball. Hook! You're smart enough to know what I did next. I threw the snowball at Luke. He ducked and the snowball hit my father in the face. Oh, this was bad. Real bad. I'd never hit my father with a snowball. I stood and waited. "Uh-oh," Luke said. "Uh-oh," Jumper said. We waited to see what my father would do. First, he stepped behind a tree. Luke and I looked at each other. "This is strange," Jumper said. The tree was covered in icicles, and we heard cracking sounds. My father was breaking icicles from the branches. We stood still for a long time. What happened next was scary. Really scary. A loud growling sound came from behind the tree. The sound grew louder. "I don't like this," Jumper said. Without warning, something jumped from behind the tree. "I am the real snow monster," the thing yelled. The snow monster wore my father's clothes. He had no hands. Icicles poked from his sleeves where his fingers should be, and his head was made of snow. The snow monster ran after us. He waved his arms, and the icicles flew all around us. He tackled Luke. They both rolled on the snow. "Roar!" the thing yelled. "Where's your father?" Jumper asked. "No time for talking," I said. "Run!" "Help!" Luke shouted. "You are on your own," said Jumper. "I do not fight snow monsters." I thought the snow monster was my father, but Jumper and I didn't wait to see. We hid behind a big rock and clung to each other. The snow monster dragged Luke behind the tree. We heard more cracking sounds. That was the snow monster growling. That sounded like Luke, growling like a snow monster. "This has gone far enough," Jumper said. I knew what was about to happen. Big snow monster jumped out. When little snow monster appeared, I laughed. It was scary, but I laughed anyway. "I am son of snow monster," little snow monster yelled. Little snow monster was wearing Luke's clothes. His fingers were icicles and his head was a giant snowball. "Hey, I want to be a snow monster," I said. Big snow monster looked at little snow monster. I never knew snow monsters could shrug their shoulders. These two did. "Come on," said big snow monster. We all went behind the tree, but Jumper stayed behind the rock. He was still scared and didn't want to be close to any snow monsters. My father, Hook, he was not a real snow monster, broke icicles from the tree. Luke, little snow monster, scooped up enough snow to make me a snow monster head. I knew what we were about to do. "Jumper likes to run," my father said. "We'll give him a good reason to run." Jumper jumped off the top of the rock. "What's going on?" he said. We didn't answer. Soon I was ready, with icicle fingers and a snowy head. "Roar!" we growled from behind the tree. "Go," my father whispered. We jumped into the open. "Roar!" Jumper did not move. He was so afraid he just stared at us. Then he leaped from the rock and started running. We waved our arms and flung icicles. We shook our heads and snow flew everywhere. "Help!" shouted Jumper. We chased Jumper through the trees and up a hill. I knew Jumper was fast, but he ran faster than ever. That's what happens when you're a dog being chased by 3 snow monsters. Finally, Jumper stopped. Our icicle fingers were gone. Our snow heads were gone. "Hey," said Jumper, "that is not funny. You are not snow monsters. You are Luke, Isaac, and Father." "I'm sorry, Jumper," I said. "We played a joke, that's all." "Let's go home now," my father said. "Jumper, we will make you something special for supper tonight." "I think I deserve it," said Jumper. He was already wagging his tail. I knew he forgave us. I learned something important that day. Hitting your father in the face with a snowball is not a good idea, unless you want to spend the rest of the day with real, live Choctaw snow monsters. I learned something else, too. Being a snow monster was better than being a ghost.